Hi Stampers, it's Madeline from stampingwithmadeline.stampinup.net, and today we're going to be doing this beautiful card with the stamp set High Tide from the New Occasions catalog, and I promise that this is a super easy card that'll really blow away everyone that gets it. So let's get started. I did a sponging effect on this, and this is the way that I got it to look the way it is. Okay, so for a card front like this, your supplies are pretty simple. All you will need is a white piece of paper that's a little bit less than your card front. So for this card was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 for the front. So I made this a little bit smaller. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. That way it would just be a little bit smaller, but would fit nicely and have that nice color background to accent it. So first what you want to do is you want to get a scrap piece of paper that you really don't care for, just because when we're sponging, we're going to go off the sides of the paper. So what you'll need for this is a sponge. I got these off of Stampin' Up's website, and you can get it off mine. I'll have a link below for every supply that we use during this video. So what I like to do is that the sponge is coming around. So they're a big circle like this. I cut off small pieces from it just because it makes it go, you know, you get a lot more out of the sponge, but also you can reuse these. Like I have a whole baggie of these, and they're all labeled with what colors what sponges are. Yes, they do rub off a little bit on each other because the ink does stay wet, but you could wash them. The ink will come out very easily, and then you always have this little piece of paper that you can label what ink you used for it. But it's also a nice holder when you're sponging, because then it's easier for you not to get ink on your hands. So for today, the sponging that we're going to be doing is with Dapper Denim and Delightful Dijon. So all I did was take a strip of paper, very small, used a stapler and stapled it to the sponge. I folded it in half first and then stapled it on. So like I said, you can use any ink, you know, different colors that you want, but I'm going to be using basic black for the birds, Delightful Dijon for the sand, Dapper Denim for the sky and the water. We will also need Real Red for the lighthouse. So again, here is the card front that we are making. You could attach it to any card you want. All right, so first what I did is I actually stamped the lighthouse first. So my High Tide set is Photopolymer. So you will need a piercing pad in order to get the nice image that you want from the stamp. So we're just going to put it underneath our scrap paper. Okay, so in this High Tide set, the lighthouse is a 2-step stamp. And what I like, the reason I like doing the lighthouse first is because if you mess up the lighthouse, you can always turn it over and start again. If you've done all the sponging already, you're not going to want to turn it over and start over. So this makes it so that if you mess up the 2-step stamp, not a big deal. Turn it over. That's why there's 2 sides of the paper. All right, so this is my Photopolymer. I am going to, so you have to figure out what color you want, you know, for which stamp, because this again is that 2-step stamp, as you can see. For me, I did the like mostly solid part of the lighthouse in red, and then I did the one that has the shadow and the accents in black, because that way it looks like a shadow, it looks like the other side. I'm also doing the light part as well, so that's this. I do not do that though until after I am done doing all the sponging. So let's get started and stamp the lighthouse. So I'm going to do the red one first. All right, so let's get this one on here. Now, we're going to put it right near the edge of this paper. So we're just going to tap, 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 make sure it gets really nicely inked. This is again that Real Red ink pad. Put it where you want it. This is the easy part because you don't have to line anything up yet. The second part is the one that we have to be careful with. Oop, and as you can see, I double stamped. So we're going to turn it over. That's one thing about these stamps, they really do stick sometimes when you place down. So you just want to be careful. You want to have a really good hold on your pad, or on your block. There we go. All right, next is going to be the black stamp, where we're going to have all the accents and the shadow. So the Real Red is done if you want to put that away. And we're going to get our Archival Basic Black out. Now, this is where you need to line up the stamp perfectly. So you could use a Misty tool. So let's do that because I don't want to mess this up. So let me show you my Misty tool. Well, it's a homemade Misty tool. Okay, so when I heard about the Misty, I am very DIY. And I like making my own tools if I can. So this was something that I set to work on. I wanted to make my own Misty. So this was not easy to make. I'm not going to lie to you. But in the end, it was, if I knew what I was doing, it would have been easy. But I love it because it was set to my own needs. So this is 12 by 12. I got my own hinges. I wanted to be very heavy duty. And I used acrylic plate. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. But again, just for own personal use. You never want to sell something like this because the Misty has its own copyright. All right, so I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to put the stamp where I want it. So I really want to line this up good. Make sure it's in the right place. Now, this is the fun part. You place this down, push on the stamp, and it's going to come up. You want to make sure your paper doesn't come up. I usually do the paper towards the edge so that I can hold it because you want it to stay in the same place that you were at. So the Misty's much better at this, but it's homemade, so I'm happy with it. So then I'm going to move this because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Here is my stamp. I'm going to ink it. So you want to make sure you're just inking on the stamp because you don't want the extra, ink that you get onto the clear part to get onto your card. So just really well stamp it. Okay, and obviously you're going to get some extra on the acrylic plate. So you just wipe it clean. I wouldn't use stays on with this because I have and it stains it very badly. Okay, so now all you have to do is press down. See how it's in the same spot you put it? Push it down. You really want to give this good pressure because you want it to stamp nice and clean. And I'm going to give an example of this. Like, I'm not thrilled with how that came out. So this is where it's important to remember where you put it down. So you can always go back and like re-stamp it if it doesn't come out the way that you want it. So I don't like the way that it came out. So we're going to re-ink it and try again. And that's why I'm just spending a little extra time because this is what's nice about these kind of products is because you can always go back, or if you're doing multiple cards, you can always do this again. Okay, so again, press down. There we go. So that's exactly the way that I want it to look. So just, I know it was off topic, but just a really cool tool that you can find online under the Misty. She has a really great product that I think you will love. And again, I just love DIY, so I wanted to create my own, but I think the Sweet Petunia is the one that makes it, and she gets all the credit for it because it's a really amazing device. Okay, so now that we're done with that, now comes the fun part of sponging. Isn't that such a cool lighthouse? I just love how that two-set stamp really works. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start sponging. So first what you're going to do is start with the Dapper Denim ink pad. You're going to take your sponge that you have labeled for Dapper Denim, and you're just going to act like you're sponging. So it's just a back and forth motion here, or swiping motion, just to get some ink on it. And yes, it might not look like a lot, but really it is. So we're going to start sponging. So this is just circular motions, and this is where you have to be okay with it not being perfect. This is an artist work. And see how much, even though it didn't look like there was so much ink on there. Okay, So we're going to go back, swiping motion, and again. Now I'm putting lighter pressure where the water's going to be, and I'm leaving some empty for the sand. We want to come up real close to this lighthouse because you don't want there to be white in the background, but you don't want to get the blue on the lighthouse because then it'll take away the color of the red. So just as careful as you can. It's okay if you go over. Make it so that the blue is all around the lighthouse. I am going to stop about halfway down the pole of the lighthouse because that's where the sand is going to start. So this one's going to be a little bit of a stormier sky. So I'm going to go over again and just, you can always, go over this again and make it darker. So don't go super heavy when you're pushing because you don't want it to be too dark. You can always go darker, but you can't go lighter. So again, I'm going over this again. Getting really close to the lighthouse. The thing I love about sponging is it's okay to make mistakes because really no one's going to notice. But you don't want it to be one solid because it's nice to kind of see that swirliness of the sky. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do this again, but very, very lightly. You want to do the water down here, and you just want to do it lightly because you're going to put a stamp over this. You want to kind of leave this white or very light because we're going to be putting sand there. Okay, so that's it for that. So now what we're going to do is be stamping the water. So in the high tide set, they have like the water waves. So we're going to be using that. And this is another time where it's good to have your scrap paper here because we're going to be stamping a little bit off the page. So just tap, tap, tap on this. We're still using the Dapper Denim, and we're going to create these waves. There we go. So because you're sponging, the ink color, straight on is still pretty dark. So what I did is I did it this way. Now I'm turning it just so that there's a little bit of differentiating between it. Okay, now we have to get up close to the lighthouse. So I'm going to stamp, stamp, stamp again. And I'm actually going to kind of stamp over what we've done just to make it look like it's, actually, I think I'm going to leave it except for up here because you want to put some beachfront next to the lighthouse. Look how great that looks. Okay, so now we're going to do the beach. Okay, so what you're going to do is first we're going to do a little bit of sponging. So you're going to put the Dapper Denim away for right now. And we're going to get out the delightful Dijon. Okay, so you have your other sponge that's labeled for this. Again, we're doing the swipe, swipe, swipe motion. And then we're just going to go at it down here. Very lightly, just start sponging away. Get all this white part that we haven't gotten yet. Get a little bit in the blue there. Get it a little bit in the water because you want it to look like everything is put together. Blends in together. And look at that. Look at how artistic it looks with how much little effort you put into the sponging aspect of it. So that's it for that. Leave your Dapper Denim out. What I love about this set is how many stamps there are in it. So now we're going to do the beach. So this is the long one you could use, but I like using the smaller one of the dotty sand because it makes it so you have more control over it. So tap, tap, tap. And now you're just going all over the place. You just want this to kind of give it that sandy effect. You don't have to put it everywhere. You could like stamp off again to give it different tones here. And usually what I end up doing is I usually go over the whole thing, just because I think it looks really nice. Okay, so it definitely is a dark and stormy card, but I love it. I think it is just beautiful. So now what you're going to do is you're going to be doing the accents. So like I really love the birdies. So I'm going to be doing the birdies on the ground and then the birdies in the air. So this is going to be in the basic black. So these are the birdies I did. Really get them inked up well. Okay, so I'm going to put them down here. There we go. Okay, and then there's also birds in the sky they have for a stamp. So we're going to be doing that too. This is still in the basic black so that it stands out against that dark Dapper Denim. And you can have some of the birds being stamped off. That's why it's so great to have that excess paper so that you can not worry about getting your workstation stamped on. Okay, so now all we're missing are the little tree accents. So I like the little plants. I just love this stamp set because they really incorporated everything into it. Okay, so this little plant life, we're going to be putting a little bit around the card. Now the last thing to do is the light of the lighthouse. So that is going to be in the Dapper Denim. And we'll see if it comes out on this dark and stormy night card here. If not, we can do a different color. We could outline it in a black marker. But I just love sponging cards because they really are so impressive looking to anyone that receives them, and they're super quick and super easy. Look, perfect. That looks great. Okay, so what I do is I usually add a little bit on there. So I just ink up the end of it and I turn it around. So that way the light goes off. So just line it up and stamp again. Okay, and I decided that I want to add a few more birds going in the top there. So we're going to get our basic black back out, ink them up real well, and just have them kind of attached to these guys. And there we go. Perfect. All right, so that is our stamping card. All complete, a serious work of art. And something that you can do very easily. This is going to be something I'm going to be teaching in my next Stamp 10 because I think it's a great way to really get comfortable with a lot of different techniques while you're stamping. So let me show you the finished card of my first one because one of my next videos is going to be teaching you how to make this. So look at this. This is the front. And it is one of the pop and twist cards. I hope you can see the whole thing. But I just love these cards. This is another one that it is a little bit of work, but in the end, it is definitely worth it. All right. So I hope you loved this video. Don't forget to check out the links below. And don't forget to subscribe so you can stay tuned for all of my videos that are coming up. My website again is stampingwithmadelyn.stampinup.net. I'm also on Facebook under Stampin' with Madelyn. And again, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this. Subscribe to my channel if you liked this. I really love all the conversation that happens after my videos, so please leave a comment and let me know what you think of this card. And for now, keep stamping, stampers. Bye!